Welcome to Be Free Energy. I'm Brielle, an intuitive healer, mystic astrologer with a folklore background who pays respects to all traditions and origins. I hope to bring ancient wisdom to the modern world and help you be free in your energy.
Hello, my loves. Welcome. I am so excited to be here again for the 5th episode of Be Free Energy. This is going to be the Beltane episode. And I just have to express how excited I am because this is probably one of my, almost is my first favorite Wheel of the Year holiday festival celebration. I would put it at the very top, but I'm a Scorpio and naturally love all the things in spooky season. So this Beltane celebration and holiday definitely ties with Samhain and Halloween for me. But it's just this light celebration of the sun and earth, and it marks such a time that celebrates folklore. So I want to give you my insight, all of the facts that live in my brain about Beltane. This also in Irish is pronounced Beltane. So if you are listening and are familiar with Irish traditions, it may sound different than Beltane. It's kind of Beltane, kind of different like that. But this differs, cross-culturally. It is the same thing we're talking about, but the Scottish, Irish, and Gaelic pronunciations are definitely different. And when I had a video posted on my TikTok, it kind of went viral, y'all, not gonna lie. Shameless plug, b.free 1999 on TikTok. I was given some tips on how to pronounce it from some people all over the world, and I thought that was actually just really cool that other people saw the video to begin with. And one person who DM'd me on Instagram with a voice message kind of pronounced it like that for me, and she's in Ireland. So I just want to recognize cross-culturally that these can change linguistically, and actually that's under the umbrella of anthropology. And I studied anthropology and graduated. It is the subject of all things biology, archaeology, culture, and linguistics. So this is just another example. So let's get into Beltane folklore. I want to really highlight what it's like to live with the seasons of the year and live naturally with the cycles of nature. And this is just one of these points. And in the pagan Wheel of the Year, Beltane is celebrated on the night of April 30th going into May 1st. May 1st is known as Beltane and also known as May Day. So maybe you have heard this, maybe not. I would love to give you all the lore and all the rituals and witchy tips and ways that you can really invite in the Earth's celebration at this time and reflect on how nature is feeling right now, as well as just intentional crafts and spaces and altar magic. So May Day on May 1st is known as Beltane because it is associated with Belenus. This is the god of the sun, and this is a story of Belenus holding up the sun in the sky. And as he's always held the sun, he has had very laborious work, and he's held it up for so long, and it takes so much work and effort and strength to keep the sun up in the sky as he holds it day in and day out. Well, Belenus, as he holds the sun up, becomes pretty tired, and as he grows weary, he decides to lay down and to rest. And as he lowers his hands, it lowers the sun into the horizon. Belenus is now sleeping and resting, and the sun plummets down, and everyone sees that darkness grows near. I'm recalling this story as it was told to me. So if you want, you can also research this folklore. But this story is kind of explaining winter and summertime and the ways in which in each hemisphere we experience light and dark throughout the year. And on May 1st, we are inviting the summer in. The snow has gone away. We know that spring is here and summer is just right around the corner. So as the people saw Belenus sleeping and the sun plummet down and darkness and night grow near, they said, "We must wake him up and we must have the sun up in the sky. What can we do?" So in ancient times, they lit the bonfires on all of the hilltops in the land. They went up to the top points and top peaks and danced and sang and stomped their feet. And in this celebration, they created enough noise to wake Belenus. And the bonfires lit across all the hilltops brought in light like the sun. So they tried to bring in light and they tried to wake up Belenus. And as the noise grew louder and the fire light grew brighter, Belenus awoke and he said, "Oh, I see your efforts. Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, now we can put the sun back up in the sky." And he held the sun there as it would be every year after on May 1st, holding the sun higher and higher. So scientifically, we know that this kind of starts our days growing longer, and holding the sun higher as the story goes is a legend that gives testament to the ante and the build-up to summer solstice. And on summer solstice, that is when the sun has the longest day and the longest night and is at its highest peak. And I just really like that story, going into Beltane and inviting in, more light and knowing that summer is here. Beltane is the point between spring equinox and midsummer. And as it has been sung in song and folklore, it is seen as the merry month of May. Well, why is May so merry? As the pastures are many shades of green and the birds greet the morning in a harmonious chorus, and flowers are all over. They bloom up through the snow, and the snow is gone, and we know winter is done. We see all of this life. We start to see more squirrels and birds and bunnies, out and about, and we just have all of the fertility from spring equinox and all of that renewal energy blooming and blossoming with life. So it makes sense here that Beltane has a lot of fertility magic, and the rituals are centered around abundance. I want to read a little bit from the Book of Altars and Sacred Spaces. In Gaelic, the word Beltane means lucky fire, a fitting description for the celebration of the coronation feast of the Celtic sun god Belenus. At sunrise on Beltane, the Bronze Age Beltane stone circle in the northwest of Ireland displays an incredible view of the sun as it emerges from the top of the only decorated stone in the circle. It is thought that this is representative of the great bonfires that were lit atop the village hill in ancient pagan times. Other cultures, too, have celebrated the transition to summer in May. The Christians of Germany, for example, celebrated Walpurgis Night in honor of Saint Walpurga's canonization, and the ancient Romans honored Flora, the goddess of flowers, with the festival of Floralia. On the old Irish calendar, Beltane marks the beginning of summer as it stands on the precipice between two halves of the year, leading us from dark to light and from growth to harvest. It is considered a liminal time in which the veil between the human and supernatural worlds is thin. Witches, fairies, and other nature spirits are free to roam. Thus, many ancient pagans took protective measures against meddlesome enchantments. Along with Samhain, it is considered one of the most powerful times of the year for spirit communication and divination rituals. Modern Beltane celebrations combine many of the ancient pagan traditions, but they often focus on the abundance and passion that the transition between spring and summer brings. Love, sex, fertility, marriage, or hand fastings are common themes of the Beltane festival and are represented by the union of the god and the goddess. Beltane can be celebrated, I will say, on May 1st for Northern Hemisphere, but in the Southern Hemisphere, it is November 1st. Some of the magical correspondences of Beltane can include different colors, herbs, and flowers. So I'd like to read you these that you can work with on your altar, carry with you around this time, or just be mindful of and know that, certain symbolism with the things you are incorporating into your magical routines or cooking even can be intentional and symbolic for this time of year. The flowers and herbs and trees associated with May Day are hawthorn, for sure. There are tons of stories now with hawthorn I've been reading about. Hawthorn, rowan, lily of the valley, cowslip, peony, rose, lilac, cornflower, lavender, foxgloves, heather, honeysuckles, dandelion, roseberry, lemon balm, mint, mugwort, woodruff, and coltsfoot. I know for some older stories around this time, the spiced mead was very popular. You could have mead and honey right now, some breads and cakes with either these herbs that are in season or some summer vegetables. These would also make great gifts for the fae and fairies if you're doing that as well. Colors of this time you can use to dress in or adorn your altar with are green, violet, yellow, pink, sky blue, and rose red. I really think of red because of the fires, but then I think with white and lilac and pink, those kind of pastels come in when you see like maypoles and ribbons and the flowers, but definitely yellow and red are Beltane for me. So the yellow, reds, pinks, and purples kind of go into those crystals as well, like the colors are representative and the stones associated with Beltane. These crystals are rose quartz, green aventurine, fluorite, emerald, tourmaline, rainbow, moonstone, and bloodstone. The element is air and fire, and the symbols are more of like fire, flower crowns or garlands, kind of like out in fields of flowers, out in meadows. There's a iconic May basket and the infamous maypole, and more flowers, ribbons, and hawthorn again. So what are the themes for Beltane that we're working with? These main themes are circled around rebirth and purification. We have blessings, and because the veil is thin, there are themes of like more spirit communication. And then on the other side of that, you want some protection. Because it is during Taurus season and Taurus is ruled by Venus, we have themes of beauty, fertility, and pregnancy, and harmony, which is what's more harmonious in a relationship than marriage. Fertility, pregnancy, and marriage here. And abundance of what you've been growing and working on, abundance of the harvest and the bountiful fruits and everything from your labor that will be paying off. So abundance in that way I would see before you harvest it later on in the year. Beltane is a fire festival that celebrates all that the element contributes to life here on Earth. Fire as an element can really be seen to give us passion, stimulation, purification, and also protection. In ancient times, on the eve of Beltane, April 30th, 2 hilltop bonfires raged until dawn as a symbol of the return of the sun. But this also doubled as purification and a fertility rite. This rite of passage was a time that people would take their livestock and guide them through to cleanse and protect. So there used to be 2 bonfires lit atop in the village, and you could stroll your livestock, like guide your cows through the middle of that passageway. And as you are going between the fires, it was a fertility rite to bless the livestock and abundance for what would be to come. So the cattle were driven between the fires on their way out of the pasture to cleanse them of disease and then bless them with fertility. The sacred fire of Beltane was also an invocation to the Celtic sun god Belenus and was often referred to as the bell fire. So when you hear this bell fire, it is that dancing, cleansing, stomping rituals that were performed across the fires. You could cleanse your home and cleanse yourself too. So if you were graced by the fires, you would see that as cleansing and purifying. The villagers would often put out their hearth fires and relight them with candles or torches that were initially ignited by the Beltane fire to bring in its blessing into the home. If you want to do this now, you can use a jar candle or lantern surrounded by a base of oak or birch twigs to symbolize the bell fire. Flowers are also another important symbol of Beltane. They represent the abundance that the season brings. The beauty of colorful plumes graces the land on this turn of the wheel, and they are often used in flower crowns, garlands, and wreaths. The circular shape also symbolizes the cycle of life and the rebirth of the sun. We can see these garlands, in midsummer and Beltane both, but they're just fun in celebration. And afterwards, you can toss them into the stream or pond as an offering to the water spirits. I love that. Most people just say the little gifts for the fae, but really giving flowers into these streams and local bodies of water is an offering to the water spirits. One of my favorite tales from May Day is about the morning dew. So early morning of May Day, maidens and young women would go into the forest and fields and collect the morning dew from the hawthorn trees, or just the grass and blades of grass in the meadow. Applying this to their skin would invite the spirit of youthfulness and let them wear the light. The morning dew of Beltane was thought to have magical powers. It was said bathing in this dew and washing your face would help them stay young and preserve their youthful beauty. So if you want, even now in modern times, you can include a small bottle of this sacred water on your main altar to anoint yourself with, or use in a setting spray, but make it witchy. Like a witchy setting spray for your makeup with the morning dew of Beltane. That is just so beautiful and infused with beauty magic. What I will be trying is definitely running barefoot in the morning dew. That will be the morning of Beltane. It is said running barefoot in the morning dew is said to keep you healthy for the year. So again, it's just like getting sexy with nature. There's a lust for life. There's blooming and fertility magic. And I just want to have all the flowers, to be honest. I really want to make a crown because I have not before made a garland or a flower crown. But but I'm really hoping to have a celebration of my own. Even if I can't do some fire celebrations, I would like to do something with some flowers, and definitely going to do the morning dew one. Another theme of May Day is the maypole. You may have seen this in the iconic film Midsummer, directed by Ari Aster and produced by A24. That also just lives in my brain. I love that director. I love that film. I love Florence Pugh. She is the main character in Midsummer, and it definitely has a lot of Viking folklore behind it. But the scene where they are dancing around the maypole and holding these ribbons, they interweave these ribbons as they dance. And this is symbolic of what occurred with the Beltane festivals. The maypole has long ribbons that each person holds, and as they dance, they weave and braid it, going in and over and around and under, like everyone dancing with them, and they braid a beautiful May ribbon pole at the end. But in that scene in the movie, they do quite literally claim her May Queen. Spoiler, sorry. Because she is the last one to be dancing, and they quite literally dance till they drop. So everyone would dance and dance and dance until they couldn't physically dance anymore. In the movie, they deemed her May Queen. I'm not quite sure if that happened back then, but they did wait to see who would be the one person left dancing, and they did and still do with the maypole interweave and braid these ribbons with intention. So you may see those as if you are going to any festivals, or if you see the maypole in the middle somewhere. So that is a custom as well. But May Day and Beltane has definitely been a time of courting. In Wales, as early as the late 19th century recently, the practice of men showing the women that they fancy them would take place on May Day. So the men would wait till May Day, and this was the day to flirt, basically, and proclaim who you had eyes for in the town and who you wished to court. The men would find enough rosemary and make a bunch of the herb and tie it with a white ribbon specifically. They would lay these outside of the bedroom windows of the women they liked and proclaim their interest on May 1st. There are other folklore stories, and when someone gets married and the euphemism of tying the knot is used, that actually comes from a practice of courting from May 1st as well. I thought that was really interesting. You can research a little bit more about what that is from. But back to the fire magic and celebration of the fire element, there are bonfires lit. In Gaelic, there's a word that is used in not the same spelling, but the same meaning for the word bonfire. And on May Day, you would have eaten the livestock and eaten the animals, basically with what the earth provided you with. You would be holding gratitude for what you feasted on, and afterwards they would throw the animal bones that they ate off of into these big fires, which got the name bonfire and the Gaelic transition. But later that just translates kind of over time now to bonfire. The fires blazing on the hilltops are a focal point of old Celtic Beltane celebrations. This symbolized the return of the sun and bringing in fertility and abundance of the earth. Bones from the livestock you ate were tossed into these grand bushes ablaze, and the Gaelic word for bonfire was from this celebration and evolved eventually into bonfire. Another celebration is jumping the fire. Okay, obviously work safely with fire, guys. You don't want to have it inside, but you can use it outside or in a cauldron, in a safe container, or like a patio set, a fire pit, whatever works for you guys. But however big or small you would like, to have a fire burning beneath you is really an intentional activity for Beltane here. So I have done this before, and I've absolutely loved my time letting go and releasing things around Beltane. You can write what you are letting go of, releasing what no longer serves you, writing it down on a bay leaf, and then burning it. And taking this activity a step further with your intention to release and jump the fire. So jumping the fire would be, as you jump over the fire burning beneath you, you make a wish for the incoming summer. Always for the highest and best. I think that's such a fun activity if you're able to do that. And Beltane's the perfect time to work with fire magic. I really think all of the abundance and gratitude for the harvest and livestock and fertility magic is pairing really well with all the fire magic. And I also have a Beltane playlist on Spotify. It's one of the playlists I'm like most proud of. I will link that below in the show notes. But that has a mix of modern songs that kind of are about these themes, as well as some folk songs and some witchy artists as well. So yeah, that's my Beltane playlist. I'll link that below. If you are able in the morning of Beltane to collect the dew or collect flowers and give gratitude for the earth, it's definitely an intentional practice, but it connects me to nature, and I'm excited to do so. If you participate in jumping the fire, at the end, you can have everyone circle in a clockwise direction around the fire and chant this rhyme. I'm going to read the rhyme you can chant for this. Be sure, to save it or jot it down. This is really magical if you're participating in this activity. Fire to welcome ancient gods. Fire to greet the sun, burning as we make our dance, jumping one by one. Fire, burn this Beltane night, make wishes come alive. Bring to us a summer bright, let the greenwood thrive. Fire, give us warmth and light, all the summer through, burning as we make our dance, jumping 2 by 2. Now, I would say I would recommend jumping alone in this activity. The magic behind it is more if you jump with a person beside you, like 2 people jump it together, then you want to make sure that that is your partner. It's kind of funny that the writer of one of the books I read, Seasons of the Witch by Gail Duff, she's like, oh, when I've seen someone jump 2 by 2 with someone who wasn't their partner, it kind of comes back around that they become involved with that person. But yeah, you can have intentions with your partner if you want to grow in a relationship and release something that's no longer serving you as a sacred union, and then jump the fire 2 by 2. So that last line of the rhyme is for that with your partner. And then the last line, fire, burn this Beltane night, make wishes come alive. Bring to us a summer bright, let the greenwood thrive. So that is some Beltane activities, magical correspondences, and crystals, herbs, and flowers. It's some folklore, it's some fire magic. There's honestly so many folk customs on this day. There's even a place in Padstow, I believe that's England, and this would happen in the early 21st century, but I don't know if it still happens. I would love to travel during this time and go and attend the festival, but they all shut down the town. Everyone kind of wears white and flower crowns, and they have a parade, and then you have this creature symbolic kind of person who from the village gets chosen to dress as the Alias or the Abias. I think it's kind of a unique name, but if you look up a video, the mask is very Halloween-esque. It's very kind of scary, but with it being a liminal time, it makes sense. And as they all dance in the parade, whoever gets swept up under this big costume, this big belly of the Alias, is blessed, and they're honored to be the one swept up under the belly of this. And I just think that that was fascinating, that it also has the same colors and parade and happens on May 1st. It's something I studied long ago in undergrad, and it just stuck with me. So yeah, that's in Padstow. You can look that up. But this is a time where we can really know the magic behind the light and return of the sun. I'm giving gratitude for the earth now, and I hope that you all have a magical Beltane. Listen to my playlist and invoke those themes. But this is one of my favorite Wheel of the Years, and I hope that you learned something from this episode. I hope it inspired you, and if you are looking to have some witchy activities or correspondences, definitely let me know. If you're going to practice anything from these customs and folk traditions, just know that we pay respects to all cultures here on this podcast, and I practice with an ethical mind. So in these practices, I hope that you get more in tune with yourself and more in tune with nature. Definitely let me know what you're feeling this Beltane season, and keep up with me on my TikTok. It's b.free1999. You can find me on Instagram at befree.energy. It's bfree.energy. And you can find my website, www.befree-energy.com. That's bfree-energy.com. You can find all about me, that info, my services, and my offerings. And if you are curious for what your natal chart has in store for you, I am a intuitively led mystic astrologer who offers natal chart and birth chart readings to explore your cosmic blueprint. And I like to offer, all of the different ways in which your houses, planets, and zodiac signs are very strength-based in my approach and what that offers for you. So you can find a package that works for you in my many different tiers on my website, and also reach out for my freebie, because I always answer your questions about a single placement in your birth chart. You can message me on there, on Instagram, or through email, or even my contact form on my website, and I'll be able to give you a voice note back and explain a placement that you're curious about. Okay, my loves, Beltane blessings. I'm so excited to share and have this platform. Let me know how you like the folklore behind everything. That is something that definitely excites me. And listen to the playlist for the Beltane season. Until next time, much love.